Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the final match of week 7 of the Modern Super League. In spite of what the graphic just told you, we have Javier Dominguez against Gavin Verhey. And, personally, I've got to say, as a Wizards of the Coast employee, I have some vested interest in
Just a little
not
bit.
both of us going home in the same week. So I've got to be in Gavin's corner for this one. And it looks like he has a pretty nice opening hand to start off with. Thoughtseize, Ragavan, Orcish Bowmasters. Do you think that this is the kind of thing you want in this matchup?
It's it's kind of tough. Without the Ragavan, I think this hand would be a little suspect. But because you can go turn 1 Ragavan, turn 2, ideally probably Thoughtseize Bowmaster, I think this is close. But with a matchup like this, and from the Rakdos side of things, you tend to want to mulligan a little bit more aggressively. Like specifically, if you want, you kind of want the turn 1 Evoke creature plus not dead after all. Either one's good. If Grief, then you can discard 2 cards. And if Fury, you just have a 3-turn clock on turn 1 that's really hard for Javier to interact with. But yeah, so I think the hand was close, and Gavin decides to mulligan.
And it looks like he has basically the same hand, but one of the spells turned into a land. On the other side of things, Javier staring at his current 7, still thinking about it, I believe, with 2 cards, 2 different Tron pieces, Chromatic Sphere, Ancient Stirrings, and a copy of the One Ring. How are we
I
feeling about this one?
I believe Javier already kept, and I think I like this hand. It's only a little suspect if you're Chromatic Star. Oh, Javier's in the play. My apologies. I thought Gavin was on the play. On the play, this hand's great because you can just play the Sphere, and then you have the Ancient Stirrings on turn 2 to help find Tron lands. The thing about this specific Tron deck, it's really strange because we've kind of seen Tron basically since Modern's inception throughout the entire period of history, and it's kind of morphed into this deck that actually can play a lot more when it doesn't have access to Tron. You'll notice there's, the One Ring and Karn, which those cards are just not that hard to cast, even if you don't assemble Tron.
Right, this is something we saw a lot of in Barcelona was Team Handshake really with a fresh take on Tron, just saying, hey, you know what? We get inevitability from our lands, but we're happy just having strong 4 drops. And we see some of that redundancy from the deck coming off the top in Expedition Map, Relic of Virginitas, and the 3rd Tron piece from Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, that's Tron for you. And we mentioned the Tron deck. This Tron deck is pretty good at fighting when it doesn't have Tron, but when it does have Tron, it's still pretty good.
And we just had that Ragavan start from Gavin on the other side. I'm fairly concerned that this isn't enough pressure for this matchup, especially on the draw.
Right, not at all. And that's kind of why we saw Gavin mulligan the first hand. I think he recognizes that he really wants to have one of those evoke creatures plus undying effect starts. And I think Gavin's decision to mulligan to keep on 6 is probably correct. Once you can be a little bit more liberal when you're on 6 as opposed to 7. But yeah, like you mentioned, we're going to see an attack for Ragavan. We could play a Bowmaster and a Thoughtseize, but that's just not enough pressure. And we see Javier's hand is just stacked.
Right, there are some things that Ragavan could maybe hit here that are cute, but none of them are really going to change the outcome of the game, right? Ancient Stirrings coming off the top, not that good out of the deck. One of the nice things about this Tron deck is that all the cards are so siloed. It's almost like insulation from Ragavan.
Yeah, the best thing that Javier could probably hit next turn would be a copy of Karn, because that would also shut off that would shut off Javier's artifacts. So
Oh,
you
sure.
could shut off the One Ring, Expedition Map, stuff like that. And Gavin, when casting this Thoughtseize, was really hoping that Javier only had one payoff. Unfortunately, Javier's got 3 of them, so this Thoughtseize not doing a lot here.
Yeah, this is really tough. There's a point where if it were a bunch of copies of the One Ring, there is this Orcish Bowmasters, which could theoretically check it a little bit, maybe give you some more pressure. But as it stands, 2 copies of Karn the Great Creator, really, really going to be tough to fight through.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up Javier's deck list here just to get a 100% certainty on what we can go ahead and search for with Karn. My guess is we are probably going to go for maybe you want to start with Walking Ballista just to clear the Ragavan. You could also go for something like Metamorph doesn't do that much. You can get a Haywire Might the trade for Ragavan, but you probably want to start by getting this Ragavan out of here as quickly as possible.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Like on the other side of things, you do see maybe you take a Karn, then if Javier plays a Karn and just gets something like a Liquid Metal Coating, then all of a sudden Bowmasters plus Ragavan can team up and take down the Karn, and then Javier's not actually in a good spot. So figuring out what you want this Karn to be taking is so important here.
Yeah, my guess is the Thoughtseize is likely to take the Karn because, like you said, you can just team up the Ragavan plus the Bowmaster to try and combat the other one, and it is kind of nice for Gavin that he has a copy of Not Dead After All in hand because if say Javier does go with the line of Karn get Ballista to kill the Ragavan, you can just Not Dead After All the Ragavan and keep it in play.
Oh, that would be huge.
So he actually goes for a copy of the One Ring. That's kind of interesting. It's also interesting because you have the Bowmaster in hand. Like, say if Javier goes for Ring instead of Karn, I think you're pretty happy with that because of the presence of Bowmaster. But maybe Gavin's also thinking that he doesn't want Javier to have that one turn of protection because that means one less Ragavan hit.
Right, I almost could see a spot where Gavin's thinking might just be something to the effect of, well, I have Bowmasters, I have Ragavan, I have Not Dead After All, with to even pair with Bowmasters if things go a little weird. So I can pressure Karns, I can kill Planeswalkers. I will never be able to check the One Ring.
Yeah, that's fair. So now, if you're in Javier's position, because Gavin left you with the second card, you can kind of be a little bit more liberal with the first one. You can just freely minus it for whatever. So I'm curious as to what he's going to get here. Again, I think it's probably Ballista because then you could even, if you assume that Gavin does have a Bowmaster here, you could even block and then sack to kill whatever is not blocked.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Karn turning off this treasure almost means that Gavin can't go shields down for this Bowmasters on the instep. So it's actually providing extra insulation on Gavin's side, even though it looks like it's turning off the treasure.
Oh, Gavin didn't play the Bowmaster in response. I wonder if that was intentional. I wonder if he wanted to still deploy that. I guess it's kind of tough either way because you wanted the Bowmaster to be able to ping the Karn. So kind of, stuck between a rock and a hard place at that point.
Yeah, and there's also a degree where if Javier goes to minus again with the Karn, then you do just get to pick it off with the Bowmasters. Obviously, Karn has gotten another card, so it's not like you feel great about that exchange, but
Yeah.
you're gonna have to. It feels like the only way out is through all of these.
Yeah, you got to fight through them at some point. So, like you said, you just need to, you got to, Kevin's going to, or Javier's going to get a lot of cards out of these, but you definitely have to fight through them. So we're going to see an attack here from Ragavan, I believe. Funny interaction here. So Javier can just block, and if Gavin goes for Not Dead After All, then you ballista in response. So it's not really a good window for Gavin to use that Not Dead After All.
Ugh, that does not feel good.
So yeah, we let the trade happen, and then my guess this is a
There's
tough
this,
spot.
yeah, it's a Dolly Voidwalker that came off the top for Gavin. I don't think we could have cast a pre-combat, but maybe it would have been okay. Oh no, because you don't want the Walking Ballista to go to exile, because then Karn can rebuy it. Wow.
Right. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
I know. Usually in spots like this, you would want the card exile, but with Karn specifically, yeah, you don't want that going back to exile.
Yeah, it was
You
so
know,
awkward when Javi and I played. I forced him negation to ring, and he was able to buy it back with a card. It's like, get me out of here.
yeah.
Ooh.
It.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's an Ulamog. We only got 9 mana, but we'll have 10 next turn. We can crack
Just
the
give it a
map
second.
for.
This never happens.
Crack the map for a tower. But looking at the sideboard, I mean, Javier has basically access to approximately infinite mana. But with Ballista gone, what's our next best targets? We have a Cityscape Leveler, and my guess is we're probably going to go for a Sundering Titan, Carmen.
Sundering Titan's interesting. Is there a world where you activate Relic, target yourself just to put the Ballista in exile?
Well, there is we now live in this world.
Oh, what
There
a
you go.
world! What a world to live in.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's a crazy
Oh,
line. I like
yeah.
that.
I mean, it's berserk. Some of the stuff Relic can do here, right? I mean, obviously, it's kind of been a staple in modern, longer than modern has existed. It feels like, but wow, this is Ballista on 4 is huge, literally.
Yeah, very, very heads up play, and it's also gross because Javier has 1 mana floating, and you would want to not it after all the Voidwalker, but with 1 mana floating, we could pop that relic, so that is not even
Oh,
on the table.
oh my gosh,
Things went from
it's
bad
so
to
brutal.
worse.
Oh yeah, and just like you said, doing it with the mana still available in the pool is just playing around not dead after all. That's oh wow. This has
Yep.
just been, it feels like the most awkward game possible at almost every interaction point for the side of Gavin.
Yeah, exactly. Even like even with the draw steps, like if the Voidwalker was a turn early, you could have gone Voidwalker into Thoughtseize and then Voidwalkered Javier's Karn after the fact, and then the
Oh.
turn he drew the Knot did after all was like a turn too late. It's just like you said, really, really awkward draw steps here for Gavin. And if things lined up differently, we could see a we could see a Karn on Gavin's side of things.
And this is kind of what's so cool about Modern, right? We were coming into this going, I don't know, Evoke's pretty good, especially in this matchup. Even Javier at the Pro Tour with basically this list was that team was really afraid of playing against Evoke, and Evoke ended up beating Tron all the way to the top 8 to win the whole event. But this is just what can happen sometimes. That's what's so cool is you can have these upsets.
Yeah, I think if Rakdos is firing on all cylinders, if they have the top 10% of their draws with the turn one evoke creature, I think it's really difficult for Tron. But it's really hard to fight this kind of access against Tron because when the Rakdos deck doesn't have a turn
Oh,
one evoke creature, there's not a lot of pressure.
okay, but how about Kolagon's command off the top? That answers the Ballista and the Karn, which we know there's more coming, but if there's any game left to be had, this has to be the path there.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a good draw step. Gavin does know about the second card too, so you get it, it's a little awkward there. But yeah, you start by killing. I guess you can go kill the Karn, kill the Ballista, then play your land and the treasures online to be able to play the Bowmaster. So that is a good start here for Gavin. But we know that the Ulamog is gonna clean things up pretty quickly. Ulamog's pretty hungry.
Oh, okay, but yeah, I wonder if that means you shock Ballista, shatter the map, and then oh no, because then you can't do the treasure at the end. Ugh.
Yeah, you got to kill the Karn.
This is so you could lead on Bowmaster and shoot down Karn, and then you trade it all out. God, this is all
Yeah,
just it's bad. It's bad all the way down.
Yeah, because if you do that, then the Ballista just gets to clean up the Bowmaster. So if anything, you almost certainly have to call against command first. And Gavin doesn't know about the Ulamog. We're obviously working with perfect information. So from Gavin's side of things, it doesn't look that bad. You're like, I'm gonna kill the Ballista, kill the Karn, play this Bowmaster, everything's kind of chilling. We can Bowmaster to pressure the other Karn. And then Javier's like, no, 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 no. I have something a little bit better.
Not to worry. I have a Karn and his dear friend Wormcoil Engine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Javier could just do that too, but you got to go for the Ulamog here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Anybody's game.
So, now, I will say, sometimes Rakdos decks do have copies of Shieldred's Edict. I believe that card is not present in Gavin's deck list. Yeah, no copies of Shieldred's Edict, so this Ulamog is here to stay. And that's the game. There we go.
All right, so looking over to the sideboards, Gavin cannot get these Blood Moons in fast enough, but what else do you think he's supposed to be bringing in here?
Well, he missed the third Blood Moon. I hope we pick up on that. But past the Blood Moons, looking at the sideboard, we got a couple of Chalices. Don't really like those. Explosives, not really. Hidetsugu consumes all. Croxa could be okay, but it's kind of slow. Two Pithing Needles, definitely slam dunks. Good against Ring, good against Karn. But now looking at it again, I wonder if you could actually talk me into the Chalices on the play specifically, because they do shut off Star, Sphere, Map, and Stirrings, and even Relic too. So maybe on the play, I could see Chalices.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about going down the Chalice route when you have 14 one-drops and like
Yeah,
Thoughtseize is one of your better cards, but I could see it. I
yeah,
like
you would
that
have.
the third Blood Moon came in. That was something that you called out before. I mean, it just really speaks to how important pressure is, right? That last game we saw Thoughtseize with a couple of pretty good cards, but it just wasn't close to enough.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of the issue with Chalice. Ideally, you would go, you would follow up your kind of turn one evokes with evoke creature with a Chalice on two. But even then, it's again shutting off your top deck Ragavan's and shit and Thoughtseize is probably not worth it.
All right, so we have an easy mulligan from Gavin and an easy keep from Javier.
I see two Tron lands, a sphere, and I can't see the last card, but I don't think it matters. The last card would have to be pretty horrendous for me to mulligan that hand.
Seventh card is on the house, as it were.
Oh, of
Oh,
course. Of
it
course
is the
it's just
house.
yours,
It's the
tower.
tower.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
All right,
See,
non-six
ladies,
from Gavin.
folks at home, this is how you top 8 a Pro Tour. You just have natural Tron.
Listen, that's how it's done. You got it. Gotta get a little lucky sometimes, right?
Oh, trust me, I know very, very well about getting lucky, especially with my matches today.
Listen, sometimes you just have four falls. That's all there is to it. All right,
Crashing
Gavin
five
decides to
falls.
keep his Ragavan on the play and has Thoughtseize, Fable, Land Shieldred on the back burner for now. Javier with the kind of usual opener Tower Sphere.
I gotta tell you, Carmen, when Gavin casts this Thoughtseize, he's not gonna be very happy. If he even
Oh,
casts Thoughtseize this
this
turn, he might
is
want to
the
go for Fable.
real come on kind of
Yeah,
moment.
it's like natural Tron, 3 payoffs, everything you could ever want.
So notably, is that the ballista actually making its way into the main deck from Javier?
Yeah, so I'm wondering if maybe Javier thinks that on the draw against Ragavan, he doesn't have time to Karn for it, and he just wants like a solid answer in his deck on the draw against Ragavan. That's what I'm thinking is happening.
Sure, that all makes sense. Oh wait, no, it looks like he has a 1-1 split. So maybe
Oh, does
this
he?
is
Okay,
just business as usual for him.
got it.
But unfortunately, this Thoughtseize is business as usual for this match, where it just can't take everything that matters.
So yeah, can I take your entire hand with this Thoughtseize? I don't think that's how this works.
It only feels that good sometimes, but that's not actually the text on the card.
I think if Thoughtseize could take lands, Gavin would still probably be 0% to win this game. Not 0%, but we could draw a Blood Moon. I think that's Gavin's path to victory here at this point. Is that card?
It's so tough, right? Because in a lot of worlds, if you're not playing if you're trying to actually just check the payoffs instead of disrupting Tron itself, it's so much better to play Fable on that turn because then you can play Thoughtseize plus Shieldred on 3. But because of how this game is played out, just having the natural Tron, there isn't anything for Thoughtseize to disrupt. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, like if Gavin was working with perfect information, he certainly would have cast the Fable. But it's one of these situations where if Javier's hand is not, the stone cold nuts are completely rolled up, then you could take, say, maybe the scrying, and Javier has a second Tron piece and a bunch of payoffs, and you could strand him with that. It just, so happened to be that it's very unfortunate for Gavin that Javier's hand was, as we call in the business, Thoughtseize proof.
Yeah, it's just so interesting in a lot of ways. Having whenever you play this sort of evoke deck, should you be valuing disruption versus should you be valuing pressure, and how all of that is constantly at war whenever you're playing any turn. Right, we've seen that starting on the first, second turn of every game.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna see Ragavan trade for Ballista, and Shieldred's a good follow up, but I don't know if Shieldred is favored against Karn plus 7 mana.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, this is even the world where you can just see Karn plus Ensnaring Bridge. What happens?
Yeah, very very good chance that we have enough cards in hand, right? So we have 5, play the land, go to 4, play Karn, go to 3. Yeah, so and then get a bridge, go to 4, play the bridge, go to 3. So we'll be at 3 cards in hand. So just enough for that Shieldred to not be able to attack, and that's the perfect number.
I wonder if there's consideration for just metamorphing Shieldred or something.
Could. Could. I think I'd prefer to get the bridge first because if Gavin kept in Terminates or anything like that, there's more answers. If you know what I mean, if he goes Metamorph on Shielder, there's more ways for that can go bad.
Yep. That all makes sense to me, and we do see that in Snaring Bridge. Javier just playing it tight. Whole events on the line at this point, right? He's one game between him and making it to that next pod and joining you there to play for really just winning this whole thing. All right.
Absolutely.
Fable, pass. Shieldred, trigger. Ursa Saga, drawn.
So now with 8 mana, we can go for Sundering Titan or we can go for Cityscape Leveler. We could also still go for Metamorph, but if you're going to kill the Shieldred, or if you're going to answer the Shieldred, it's probably better to get Cityscape Leveler. That would be my guess as to what Javier's looking for.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. At this point, it just really feels like he's just trying to tighten the noose, and there it is, the Cityscape Leveler, just like you said, blowing up Shieldred, giving a Power Stone. Really just a normal exchange.
Yeah, and now let's take a look. I want to pull up Gavin's deck list to do a Colligan's command count. We
It
have
was one or
two.
two.
Yeah, 2 in the main and none in the board. So, and we we haven't cast one this game. So we are drawing life to that card specifically, but past that, I don't see another way to answer this bridge on the battlefield. So that's really the only thing that Gavin's looking for here.
Yeah, this is really awkward. At this point, it felt like he just really needed something in the vein of Pithing Needle, but even that doesn't get around this Beseju in Javier's hand.
Yeah, and then the other
It always feels bad when your opponent has an ensnaring bridge and a cityscape leveler or an Ulamog or
Yep.
something, and you
Yeah, I
just
was
have to
gonna
think,
mention that, yeah.
please just stay there. Please
Yeah.
just
Yeah, because then it's, what is Gavin's plan after he kills the bridge? Just die to a cityscape leveler? So it's kind of the situation where there's no way out at this point, it feels like.
Nonetheless, Gavin perseveres. We see Undying Evil with Grief taking the Sylvan Scrying out of Javier's hand, leaving him with just Beseju and Urza's Saga. Weird sentence.
Oh.
And the One Ring off the top. Perfect.
What were you saying again, Carmen?
Listen, why would I not put the good cards in my deck if I did not
Yeah.
want to draw them?
That is a good point. That one, I would classify that as a good card.
I think the one card, if you will. All right, and the one card ticks up to destroy the Power Stone token. One Ring comes down, draws another piece of Tron.
The only thing that Javier has to be a little bit cognizant of is the amount of cards in hand with Ring, because there can be some awkward situations with Ring plus Bridge, so you don't want to go too deep on the Ring. But yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult.
Oh wow, Croaks off the top for Gavin feels like it is so close to doing something. I mean, it does 3, but something more substantial than that.
So we're gonna pop the sphere in response. And then I guess Javier, yeah, just wanted to get full information as to what we wanted to discard first. Probably still just dump the power plant.
I would believe
Don't
a
really
lot
need
of
that.
things here. I would even just believe not wanting to randomly die to your own copy of the ring and just discard this Oblivion Stone to gain 3 life, as weird as that is.
Yeah, that's a good point because you don't really need the Oblivion Stone. Like, do you even want? You don't even want to pop it here. You don't want to kill the Karn or the bridge. So, yeah, if your plan is to not sacrifice it, that would make sense. Yeah.
Maybe we just see him start putting what are they called? Omen counters or something? Fate
Oh,
counters
fate counters.
on
Yeah,
your own stuff.
the
That's
fate counter type of day.
Listen, the long way around on killing the ensnaring bridge.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Alright.
at that point, maybe Javier would even prefer to just put a fate counter on the leveler, pop the O stone, let the bridge die, and then just go ham with the leveler.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, all cute stuff aside, he does
Yeah.
discard that Oblivion Stone, just decides to conserve his life total.
Seeing an end phase, Beseju makes sense. You do want to answer this reflection at some point. Although it's kind of awkward because Beseju does give Gavin the 4th land for Kroxa for whatever that matters. Now, granted, the Kroxa still can't attack,
Oh.
but it's a little bit of chip damage here, damage from the ring, damage from Kroxa. It adds up.
Right, and that's pretty interesting. With the way we saw him prioritize discarding that Oblivion Stone to gain some life, he's got to have that on his radar. We saw the hesitation. What if we're gonna just see Karn have to minus and get Relic or something? That would be. Can that be right?
Well, I'm almost at a point. Okay, with the
Oh,
second
well, never
Karn,
mind. Karn off the top. We're fine. Everything's fine. This
you're
was
gonna think this is
calculated.
You're gonna think this is crazy, but I actually kind of like Karn, get Haywire Might. Haywire Might blow up my own bridge, attack with Leveler, post combat, play second Karn.
Oh
Might be a
no,
little too greedy. Might be a
I
little
have
too
no
greedy,
reason
but
to hate such a thing.
we'll have to
Hey,
see
why
it.
are my exiles? I can just get back the same ensnaring bridge.
It's true. We're gonna go for Relic. Relic's a lot safer. I
Okay,
agree with that.
okay. Yeah, this is in line with how he's navigated the rest of this game.
Yeah. Yeah, just trying, like you said, trying to just check all of his boxes, make sure that nothing gets past Javier at this point. Go with another ring to reset the counters, not take as much damage. Sure, why not? Yeah, join the party. The gang's all here.
It's Berserk when Tron has 15 mana or however much it is, 11, 12 mana, and decides, I don't think this is a Karn the Great Creator turn. I will simply do everything else.
Yeah, even the leaving up mana to make the Saga token, which we do make. And I'm wondering if we are close to lethal with Karn Haywire Might on Bridge. 18, so you can go make a second construct, get an artifact that gets it to 7 power, which is 15. From coil 16. It's close. It is close.
Yeah, this is the spot where it feels like he's just brushing right up against the door of the
Ooh.
top 8 of the modern Super League.
This is Metamorph. What are we gonna do with
Why
that?
that so barely doesn't work with Leveler?
If only, right? If only.
Yeah, yeah.
We need an artifact in the sideboard to give our stuff haste so that we can go Metamorph, copy, Leveler, and then give it haste and go from there.
Unbelievable that there isn't anything in the Karn board to win from this situation.
Yeah, we do see Javier popping the bridge. This is Ballista. I think
Yeah,
Ballista's lethal,
Ballista's
right? Because you
gotta be
go 3,
lethal.
6.
I'm hoping it's lethal.
Ballista for 2, 10. I thought you wanted
Well,
Gavin to win.
listen, at some point it's a real stop, he's already dead situation. That's my guy,
Sure,
you know what I'm
sure.
saying? But yeah, there it is. We see
All right, he's
Javier
giving up. He's
advance
tapping out.
to the top 8 of the modern Super League.